Right now on Up with KREM, WSU's former head football coach is planning to sue the university. Nick Rolovich was fired earlier this week after he refused to get a COVID vaccine.
And the hunt for Brian Laundrie might be over after police found possible remains in Florida.
And the trial for Chad Daybell is moving to southern Idaho, and prosecutors still plan to seek the death penalty.
That's when they accelerated, and then I almost got around it, but then they hit me and it flipped me over the hood.
An Oregon man says he was run over after a person held him at gunpoint and demanded for him to hand over his dog.
And this morning shaping up to be a beautiful one as we have another dry day in store before the rain returns.
Up with KREM begins now.
Hey there, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham.
And I'm Channing Curtis. Well, let's get right to your morning rush. What you need to know before you head out the door this morning.
First up, the Department of Defense is sending 20 medical professionals to hospitals in our area in an effort to help overworked healthcare staff.
Now, they came to Spokane from military bases in California and Western Washington. Thanks to their help, Providence is hoping to bring back elective surgeries.
We're hopeful by the beginning of November we'll be back to roughly 80% of normal operations for getting those surgeries done.
Spokane is the 11th location the Department of Defense has sent extra resources to. They're expecting to be here for at least a month.
Now that Washington's vaccine mandate is in effect, the Department of Corrections says it lost about 350 workers. Officials say prisons are operating normally, even though the department has already been dealing with staffing issues. They are hoping the vaccine mandate will mean fewer outbreaks now that all employees are fully protected.
Somebody would get a tag saying you have possibly been exposed. We do screening, we did testing. So we had a lot of people out from that exposure, and so that will go down.
Governor Inslee called for a 2-week pause on all transfers from jails to the Department of Corrections, and this will go into effect on Monday, expires on November 5th.
Chad Daybell's trial is officially moving to another county in southern Idaho. Now, he's accused in the murder of his current wife's children and his late wife. The Idaho Supreme Court ruled this week that his trial will happen in Ada County. The jury will also be picked there. His wife, Lori Vallow, is also facing charges, but her trial is on hold since the court found her mentally unfit for trial. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for Chad Daybell.
An Oregon man says he was chased down by a car and run over while walking his dog in a Portland neighborhood. This man says a car pulled up and pointed a gun at him, demanding his wallet and dog, so he decided to make a run for it.
That's when they accelerated, and then I almost got around it, but then they hit me and it flipped me over the hood.
He was able to flag down a man walking by to ask for help. Portland police are now investigating the situation.
The FDA just okayed boosters for people who got the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccines. And the agency also says it's safe to mix and match. So anyone eligible for a booster shot can get a different brand than they originally received. The CDC advisory panel meets today, and it typically signs off soon after the FDA. This big booster news came the same day the White House unveiled its plan to get 28 million 5 to 11-year-old kids vaccinated as well.
That's your morning rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's happening in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media.
All right, let's take a look outside in Coeur d'Alene as the sun is just starting to come up. It looks like a gorgeous start to this Thursday, but soak it all in while you can, guys, because things are going to get really soaked around here really fast.
Will.
Jeremy Lagu's outside in the Outdoor Weather Center. Jeremy, it looks like you're just kind of chilling out there right now, just taking it all in.
Yeah, just kind of hanging. Actually, I was pondering something. Remember just a few days ago, I was standing out here at 7:30 and the sun was shining bright on my face. I was going, oh, wow, all right, 7:30 seems to be the cutoff for being out of the sun. Right now, that sun is not actually cresting the mountains off in the distance just yet. That's how fast we're losing daylight. Currently, we have our temperatures sitting in the mid to low 40s, 43 in Coeur d'Alene, 45 in Spokane, 44 in Moses Lake, 42 in Wenatchee, and the cold spot, 41 there in Sandpoint. As the sun comes up, we're talking a beautiful sunrise across the region. But here you go, a little bit of cloud cover making that happen. And that cloud cover is actually associated with our next wave of energy wrapping around a storm that currently sits off the coast. Today, though, we don't really get much more than that out of this thing. We'll see a few clouds, then we'll catch some breaks in those clouds, and temperatures will rise. We'll be in the mid-60s later on this afternoon. Before that, that's rain moving in overnight, round of it early in the morning, then a day of it. We're talking plenty of rain across the inland northwest tomorrow, and tomorrow kind of kicks it off. After tomorrow's rain, well, it's a soggy week ahead, so for now, enjoy it. That's today. Mid-40s to start, climbing into the mid-60s later this afternoon before the rain returns tomorrow.
Well, we are learning new details about what led up to Nick Rolovich getting fired from WSU.
And we now know he plans to sue the university for what he calls illegal termination. So we've been following this story very closely all week. On Tuesday, I was live in Pullman during the first practice since Rolovich was fired. In a statement released by his lawyer, the former coach was not allowed to address the team after athletic director Pat Chun told him his religious exemption was denied, and then he was escorted off campus.
We also learned several details from his lawyer's statement, including that Rolovich did not expect WSU to make accommodations if his exemption was approved.
Pat Chun was mentioned several times in the statement. Rolovich accused him of discriminatory and deceitful behavior. Now, we do want to note that an official lawsuit has not been filed, but the statement says he is planning to take legal action.
Now, we're also learning new details about the case against Gonzaga basketball coach Mark Few. So court documents show that he appeared in court last week and pled guilty to DUI charges.
A judge ordered he pay a $1,000 fine and do 24 hours of community service by February, so he can start driving again on November 5th to get to and from work. But he will have an ignition interlock system in his car, meaning he will have to prove he's not drunk before his car will turn on. Still ahead here, Washington lawmakers quietly passed a new rule requiring House members and staff to be fully vaccinated. And now some lawmakers can't access some buildings at the Capitol. That's next.
Ready to make my Halloween nightmares a reality?
Halloween is one of my favorite holidays.
Now, coming up in our next hour, we have an interview with Spokane chef Ricky Webster, who got to join Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart on their all-new Halloween special. So did you know it actually takes 22 months for Hispanic women's pay to match the average white man's 2020 pay? Today is Latina Women's Equal Pay Day, and even though the Equal Pay Act was passed in 1963, there's still a long way to go. According to equalpaytoday.com, Latinas typically earn only 57 cents for every dollar earned by a white non-Hispanic man. Today, we're taking the time to recognize the wage gap and its impact on Latinx women as well as their families.